So,
What do you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about um stuff that's going on in like Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and to kind of inquire about specific things that differences specifically in Germany and whatnot, because you grew up in Germany
Mm-hmm. I did.
for like a long time. You
Yeah.
were in Germany for decades,
Yeah.
and
Almost
I
40 years before
yeah.
I came here.
About yeah, 4-ish decades.
Yeah.
And obviously I was not in Germany for 4 decades. And obviously, you grew up in Germany at a specific time, but maybe things have changed. Who knows? But I guess this is a good opportunity for me to ask you questions about what kind of differences that you see in Germany versus the United States. And I guess we'll start off with we're not going to go as much in depth with this because we already talked about it this morning, but we can start off with education, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in Germany, how does it work in terms of like
Education.
yeah, like outside of the university and whatnot.
Okay, so I mean the regular schools is from first grade to ninth grade,
And when does first grade start? How old are you in first grade?
6 years
6 years,
old.
so it's about
Yeah,
the same. Okay.
6 years old. In ninth grade, you would be about 15, and then you have your German Hauptschulabschluss, which is like a little bit less than a
Yeah,
high
yeah.
school diploma.
Well, it's a nine
Ninth
grades.
grade, yeah,
So,
but it is
although
it's
that
like
being
you
said,
finish.
do they call it first and second? Like, what do they call it? First grade, second grade, and stuff. What do they call
Yeah,
it?
they erste Schuljahr,
Erste
zweite
Schuljahr. So
Schuljahr.
they call it a school year.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
erste
So they
Schuljahr,
call the
zweite
first
Schuljahr.
year first
Mm-hmm.
school year. That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously in the U.S. we do kindergarten and then we do first grade.
Yeah, well,
So,
we have kindergarten too. Kindergarten starts in Germany when well, it used to be because it's been 20 years.
mhm.
When I was living there, it starts when you're 3 years old.
Really? Oh.
You go there when you're three, and you leave there when you're six, and
Mhm.
then go to school. But the thing is, there have been some changes now, from what I know.
Mhm.
So you can bring your kids there, I think, when they're 2 years old. Um,
That's pretty young.
and and they did have something like a Vorschule. They call it Vorschule,
Mm.
and that is like kindergarten in the United States.
Gotcha.
So they teach you, like, they started with letters and numbers and stuff like that.
Okay. So is that stuff that you were dealing with, or is that you were dealing with like, older kids?
No, that is the 3 to 6. That was the grades I was dealing with.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 3 to 6 years old kids.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I knew that's what you meant.
Educated.
Not third to sixth grade.
No.
Okay. So that was so you said that they have a transitional thing because like we were talking about earlier, there's the different types of schoolings that you can go to with the Hauptschule,
Mm-hmm.
Realschule, and the Gymnasium, right?
Mm-hmm.
First off, uh, do you choose which one you go to, or is it chosen for you?
Before I answer that, when you have your first day of school as a child, a new
Mm-hmm.
school child, you get in Germany, and that's tradition, a Schultüte.
Yeah. The
Remember,
Schultüte,
you
yeah.
got the
Because you gave
Schultüte?
that one to me too, yeah.
Yes.
And then you
So
showed me a picture of you getting it from
yeah,
like whenever
yeah,
it was.
1967.
Yeah, so like late 60s.
That's like, yeah,
Um,
a long time ago. So
yeah.
in yeah, so that's a German tradition. You fill it with little knickknacks, games,
Like cars, toys,
candies,
and
yeah,
yeah.
chocolates and stuff like
I'm
that
gonna
too.
be honest with you, Mom. I really don't remember what you gave me. I have to admit. I
Right.
still appreciate
I
it,
know. I
but I
know you
really
got.
don't remember it.
Yeah, but I think I got you a couple of cars. That's for sure,
Yeah,
because
I
you
like
were
my toy
into
cars.
cars and
That's
that.
true. That's true.
And then candies, chocolates,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
One of these other days, I think also we should talk. about my childhood, in particular, some of the stuff, because we've talked a lot about stuff that was going on in our lives, obviously.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's interesting to talk about some of the stuff that I don't remember because I was either too young or I just wasn't part of it. Because obviously, a lot of the things that were happening in your life
Yeah,
affect me still to this day,
yeah,
and
sure.
yeah, I think that's interesting. But that's for a different time.
Yeah,
Right now, I want to talk
different
about
topics.
yeah, because this is a
Yeah,
completely different thing.
yeah.
Um,
The schools,
the
you were
school. Do you,
asking about the
yeah,
schools.
so you said that you
Yeah,
with the three different schools that I know of. Maybe there's
yeah.
more. Maybe there's less.
You have to think of it like, okay, I'll try to paint a picture.
Okay.
Um, like three different staircases, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a staircase and they all start in the same, about, not they don't all start in the same, but, you start with first grade and all the way up to when you go to the Hauptschule, which is fifth grade.
I
So
gotcha.
when in fifth grade, then you have like three different staircases. And one of them is the regular
Mm-hmm.
school that goes until ninth grade. Then you have a different school is the Realschule. That's like advanced for kids who are in early advanced
Okay.
classes.
So how long does that go?
That goes to 10th grade.
Okay.
And then you have Gymnasium.
Mm-hmm.
And Gymnasium is for like the honor gifted kids usually.
Gotcha.
But I mean, you usually when it's that new, people don't really know. The kids are gifted, but if they're gonna make it all the way through, but that is with everything.
Mm-hmm.
But when you finished with Gymnasium, then you have your Abitur.
We talked about that too. Yeah, I
So
remember.
Abitur is it's like a college degree, and you can go from Abitur to the university.
So directly to the university.
Yes,
Interesting.
directly university.
Okay.
So you
So
when
how long do
you
you have?
have to be, I mean, you have to be 18, I think. You can finish
So
Abitur when you like 18, I believe.
so you're gonna be in
Yeah.
there for like 4 years or so in gymnasium.
No, usually is when you go to the gymnasium when you in fifth grade.
Fifth grade,
Usually,
right? That's
you
right.
can
That's right.
start. I
That's
think fifth grade or seventh grade. That's when you can start going to
gotcha.
the gymnasium.
So
And
that's like 10 years.
it's just like an advanced classes,
Okay.
so they say in the regular school they don't teach you the things that they teach you when you go to the gymnasium,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But it is like you have to be very smart to
Okay.
to go to gymnasium. Your uncle,
Mm-hmm.
my brother, that's how I know that was his case. When he was in ninth grade, um, we never thought about it, higher education in this way.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, she didn't send us to Realschule or Gymnasium at that time.
Yeah.
But when Willie was in ninth grade, the teacher said that Willie is too smart to be in the regular schools. He has all A's and everything, and it was no challenge for him.
So they were like, "You're going
So
to gymnasium."
I think no, it was not even ninth grade. He was in seventh grade.
Well,
He
presumably it
was
would be.
13. Yeah, so it must have been seventh grade. He was
Gotcha.
13 years
So
old.
he was in the Hauptschule at that time.
Yes, he was.
So they
And
upgraded him.
and then they said, okay, there is a gymnasium outside our city where we lived at, and it's like a dorm. The dorm is with it. It's a school. It's like college with a dorm. So, and he went there when he was 13 years old.
So they okay.
So,
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that he could go there and finish his school and, finish his college over there.
I got you.
Yeah.
So what? How long were you? And like I said, we talked about this earlier.
Yes.
So how long were you in Hauptschule before you, or whatever it was you went to? How long were you in it before you got to university? Or what year was it?
College. Yeah,
Was it
not
like your
university.
13th year or something? I'm not sure.
Well, what I did, I had because the high school diploma is equivalent to what we call mittlere Reife.
Hmm.
And that's the diploma you get from the Realschule.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the second step, right? It's
Hmm.
not the highest, but it's the second. So, and I went from, because I didn't go to the Realschule, but I went to a school that has the same um, education
Interesting.
when I was, yeah, when I was in ninth grade, in the beginning of the ninth grade. I was in the first half, I was in the regular ninth grade, and then I moved into, they called it the 9V,
The 9.5.
V like
Oh, 9V.
V.
Sorry, 9V.
Yeah. Um, I guess this is like Förderung, or means like advanced or whatever.
Hmm,
So
interesting.
they I was in that class, and it took a lot of tests and stuff like that. And then from there on, I went to a 2 year school.
A 2 year school.
Yes,
Oh.
because that was more specific school
Okay,
for
so it's a
me
career
to.
designed
Yes,
school. Gotcha.
a kind of. So it was like to get the higher education, plus to have, going into the direction you could either become from that kind of school, you could become like a educator or a nurse or something like that.
Really?
So it's like, yeah, pre-schools for nurse or educators. That's the school I went to. They do have another one. They call it Handelsschule, and this is for businesses. So if you want to
Gotcha.
go into businesses, and then from there on to colleges.
Okay.
And I went from my school, which was education, on to the college
Hmm.
in a different town.
Yeah.
And I spent there, and I did
What was that?
uh,
3 years?
3 years
Yeah.
together, but it was 2 years only theoretical, like
Oh
school,
yeah, yeah.
school.
You talked
And
with
then
the.
the last year was you have to integrate everything you learned into, everything that you learned in school into real life, working with kids.
Hmm. So
So,
yeah, in that sense, that was like the thing you were talking about, where it was like you're trying to integrate. You said, for the example you gave, it was like physical education mixed with
yeah,
adaptive learning with colors. So they would be like, this is the green ball, go get the green ball, and you would integrate both
yeah,
physical education with the,
yeah,
adaptive learning, as well as, the fact that it was on top of you learning stuff, because you were still learning stuff at
yeah,
that time, but you were doing kind of like a teaching.
yeah,
What is it called?
yeah. Teaching
Uh,
assistant. Oh, I mean, like
an
intern,
intern.
intern.
That's what I was
Yes,
thinking.
for become a teacher. Exactly.
Yes.
They have to do the same thing. So you have to go into the classroom and do the class things with the kids, but you have to, at first, you have to write everything down for
Hmm.
the school, and you make a plan, and you have to go into specifics in order to do that.
I
And
gotcha.
that's what we had to do too. So you can compare it to internship
I gotcha.
for teachers. The thing is that when you're done with the education, you still write the stuff down, you know how to do it,
Hmm.
but it's not that you don't have to show it to anybody. It's not going to get graded.
Okay.
So
So
that's.
did you immediately go from the last year of your kind of like mixed job thing? Did you immediately go from that to a job, or
Yes,
did you? Okay.
they they hired me right from the spot.
So in
Like,
Germany, at least at the time, was it the same thing in the U.S. where you have public schools and whatnot?
yeah,
Like everything, you were technically like hired by the government or whatever. Okay.
yeah. Well, this is yes, it is oversight. It was also uh, evangelisch evangelist school, so it was also
Church stuff.
Yeah, they were also the ones that paid for you,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, but you, of course, because they call it a Einrichtung, an institution that was for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was sponsored by the state. So
Oh,
you
okay.
were, in a way, the state. It was a federal job, but it was also more like specifically from the church. So the church was paying for
That makes
you.
sense.
Yeah, yeah. So the church was the ones that hired you,
Yeah.
but the institution was sponsored by the state, by the
When you say
federal.
that so when you say the state, do you mean the Bundesland or the government, like the Federal Republic of
I
Germany?
think it was the whole thing. I guess
Yeah.
it
All
came
of West
and
Germany
it
or
had to
whatever.
be in the budget because the kindergarten I worked with was sponsored by the not I mean from the church but also by the government because the kids who came in there
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, mostly they wouldn't have to pay anything to be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So it's like a Head Start program
Interesting. Okay.
that gets paid for by the state,
Yeah.
subsidized
Subsidized.
by the state, but it belongs to the church. So the building belongs to the church,
Okay.
and
So that makes
the
sense.
people who work there are hired by the church.
Okay.
But the
But you specifically were working for the Federation.
well, no, was from the church. Like I said,
Oh,
so
okay. Okay.
it's a combination. It was a combination
Gotcha.
of
Gotcha.
that.
Do you know if that's still the case now, or you have any idea?
I think the state took more over than the church because the church ran out of funding, from what I heard. Well, doesn't have that much funding, so it's more state sponsored than anything. Yeah.
Okay. That makes
So
sense.
they more invested percentage wise, I think, so that they have more
They have more power.
power and
Yeah.
they tell you what the rules are. So
So I know I've asked this before. Sorry, is that all you wanted to say on that?
yeah.
Okay. So I know I've asked this before, but I guess I just want to re-clarify. So with your teaching certificate or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it was,
It's a
um,
teaching certificate. It's a state approved educator.
state approved educator.
Yeah.
So does that mean that you even now would be able to go to Germany and to continue to work there if you wanted to?
Yes.
Okay, so it's like a permanent thing.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. It's a lifelong thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when I was working in Germany,
Mhm.
in the beginning, they start you off, or at that time, they started me off with 3 years.
Mhm.
And then after the 3 years, they gave me a lifelong position.
Ah. Okay.
So,
So that means that you can work anywhere in Germany, or only in that area?
well, I'm hired for those people. So I'm working for this specific job.
Gotcha.
That I have a lifelong job for this specific job.
Okay.
But with the education that I have, I can go anywhere in Germany and
Ah.
get a job
Okay. That's good. That's good.
with that. So I don't have to be in the same Bundesland.
You don't have to be in Rhineland-Pfalz. You
No,
were
I don't.
learning in
Yeah.
teaching Rhineland-Pfalz, right?
So you don't have to be in Rhineland-Pfalz. You can be anywhere else.
Hessen,
Yeah.
Lower Saxony.
So you can be like I said, yeah, because once you have that, they have for whole Germany, or used to have for whole Germany, the same thing. So this
Yeah.
is when if you want to be a elementary teacher or a kindergarten teacher, that's the requirements you have to have, and that counts for every state in Germany.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, kind of diverging a little bit from that, but still somewhat on the topic of school.
Hmm.
When you had the classes and whatnot, and like when you were learning,
Hmm.
so not as a teacher but as a student, right?
Hmm.
Uh, So from what I remember, and it was a long time ago we talked about this, so I don't remember. You said that they have like a kind of different system that they have in the U.S. where
You mean
at the
like
time,
college or?
yeah, well, no, like for like the preliminary school, right?
Mhm.
From what I remember, you said that they have a system where instead of having like first period, second period, third period, and it's the same all throughout the week and for the semester, and then you change every semester. So that's what we have in the U.S. You said, from what I remember, it was like spread out where you have like a math class on Monday from like 1 p.m., but it's only for Monday or Wednesday or whatever. Is that the case, or is that something I'm
No,
completely
that
different?
yeah, that is what it is. But I think I was mainly talking about the college
Okay.
because the classes we had in college, say we had like uh, through the whole year,
Hmm.
two semesters, we had like, for example, German, English. We didn't have English, but German or education or PE on specific days
Hmm.
of the week, like Tuesdays and Thursdays at a certain time,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
that we had that for the whole year.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, because
muss man
oh,
trinken.
okay, sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, as a college student now, I have something somewhat similar, except that it's not for the whole year; it's only for the semester.
I know.
So,
And you can change a lot too.
oh yeah,
See,
yeah.
that is not, or that was not the case in Germany.
Hmm.
So when you apply for college, uh, Fachschule, Fachhochschule, um, you have to do it for the whole 2 years, and
Hmm.
right away, or 3 years, and right away from the beginning, you know what's gonna happen. So you cannot change in between.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
can't pick your classes like that.
yeah,
That's not up to you. It was not like that. I don't know if they do it now,
yeah.
because now, I mean, you have internet and all that stuff, and
Well, from what you told me, you said it was something like you have like specific careers that you go into, and then you continue throughout. Also, do you have any idea if different career paths?
mhm.
Well, I mean, I guess obviously, I was going to say, do you have any idea if different career paths have different lengths? And I would
Yes,
imagine that's definitely the case
yeah.
because some definitely need more than others.
Well, the majority is 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So you go after high school, after
Hmm.
Hauptschule, then you go to learning a skill, so which means hands-on school right away. You have to go to the firm, for example, or the factory, or whoever that wants to hire you, and then you start working from there, from the get-go. You have probably once or twice a week. I think you have once a week. You have school. So you go to school where you get to the theoretical part of the learning,
Hmm.
and that for 3 years or 3.5 years. So
Okay.
that you learn not only the hands-on things, but
Hmm.
you have to have the knowledge too. So
Okay.
the theoretical part, it's just not packed like when you go to college. It's like only the school part, the learning part.
That's a interesting dynamic.
Yeah. Well, I think for some people it's easier, and I think when I look at it now, I'm thinking it's a good system in a
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
because okay, I mean, you're very young, 15. It's hard to know what you
Oh
want at
yeah,
that
yeah,
time.
yeah. I would have struggled for sure
Yeah.
in that
So I
given
mean,
situation.
that's the only thing maybe that they could like
Yeah.
have more school stuff. But on the other hand, so when you're 15 and then you go, it's 3 more years of school in this way. It's one day of the week where you have school, and 4 days of the week where you physically work there,
Mhm.
and they pay you.
That's good.
So it's not like an internship where you don't get paid. It's something that you get paid. You get paid less because you're in training,
Yeah.
but you get paid for your work.
Okay.
And they teach you how to do it. Say, for example, in the beauty shop, right? For
Mm-hmm.
a hairdresser, you have to learn like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Americans think, what? 3 years? What can you learn in 3 years?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that is. The thing is, I think that you learn a lot of different techniques.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't.
You know?
There's probably a lot that goes into it. Obviously, I'm in no
Yeah,
position to know
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
I've never looked into that. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So,